Welcome to the Orion Sportscast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Waterhouse and Josh Egan.
You know it's all about
Okay, happy New Year, everybody. We're ready. Brandon, how's it going?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Josh. Happy New Year. All of our ghost subscribers still kicking around. We're happy to be back, even if
They're
we're just
still
talking
here.
to each other.
Hey, if you're still here, say hello. If you're first time listening, which most of you probably are, still say hi.
Don't be a
So,
stranger.
what have you been up to, buddy? It's been a while.
Oh, Josh, good to hear from you. Good to see you. We're still talking behind the camera, so you know what I've been up to. Sticking to the grind, working. You know what I been up to. I'm not trying to share my job with the world just yet, but I'm sure we'll get into there once everyone figures out who we are. But yeah, I'm nose to the dirt, working hard, lots of time with family. You know, making sure that if I ever wanted to come back and talk sports online, that I cared for it, and I care for it now, and I care to have communication with you. And I think that talking sport is one of my favorite pastimes. So I'm excited just to be back, whether or not we go viral or not. I'm excited just to talk, and I've been doing well. I appreciate it. Josh, how have you been?
Good, man. Excited to get this back up and going. I think the reason you and I do this is just because we enjoy doing it. We don't really care about all the millions of views or whatever. So if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, I'm sure there's other stuff for you. But we're going to try our best to provide entertainment. And let's get right into it. So New Year, January 1st, 2024, 2023 is over. We got a couple things we want to talk about. Keep this one kind of short, just give people a little taste. So what are we starting with here? We're going with biggest sporting moments, impacts. What do you want to do to kick us off?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's go shot for shot here, and we'll see if we can surprise each other with our top three favorite sports moments from 2023. Josh, take it away. What do you got that caught your attention, my friend?
So is this personal for me? These are my personal ones.
Let's do our personal ones, and then honorable mentions will be something we can both touch on.
Perfect. All right, I'll start us off then. I'll start with three because I guess number one would be the big reveal.
Yeah,
so
good idea.
Number three, personally, I have enjoyed, and this is gonna be a little off the cuff. I've enjoyed the rise of everyone getting involved in sports gambling. I think it provides a lot of talking points about games and necessarily getting people into sports they don't necessarily watch. And I understand it's not for everybody, but putting $5 on a game here, $5 on a game there. I know personally it's gotten a lot of people, especially at my workplace.
Yeah, let's stop you right there. Before you get into it, we almost had a crazy, I don't know if it was a parlay, but I think it was just a single bet. Josh almost had the Pistons breaking their
Buddy, I
win
had the
streak
Pistons at 9 plus 950 against the Celtics, and that game went to overtime with, I'm pretty sure, was it goaltending that was called near the end of regulation? And I'm not the biggest basketball fan, and I was telling Brandon, like, this is why I can't watch it, man. Like, I don't understand that rule.
I only watched it because I was like, when you told me you're placing, I was like, not against Boston. And then throughout the day, I heard that Jaylen Brown was out of the lineup, so it became a little bit more of a serious bet once that we came down to the line. You got anything else to add on yours?
But like, also, I want to talk about relate it back to the Pistons. They go in and they lose that game, and then they win their next one against Toronto Raptors, which is, obviously we're based in Toronto, and we're just kind of used to Toronto sports teams making big jokes headlines like that, jokes of themselves. People are saying Toronto sports teams are always disappointing, and the PWHL actually started today, and the Toronto team lose their home opener, the very first game of the season, 4-0 to a New York team. So hopefully 2024 does bring some bright side for Toronto sports teams. But yeah, back to like the sports gambling and getting people involved. I know there is a dark side of it, but just kind of the fun side of, people sharing their bets. You see it on Twitter all the time. It's kind of a community that started with everybody just discussing things, and nobody ever really wins a large amount of money. You see those 16 leg parlays that hit. It's not viable. Just be careful if you are doing it. But that is one thing I'm going to take away personally from this year, is just kind of the amount of people I connected with doing little bets here.
I got closer and closer as the year went on, but maybe 2024 is where I try my stake, take a little gamble here and there. We'll see.
See.
Over here, over to me.
Yeah, your turn, buddy.
All right, this is a little out of left field if you know me, but I'm not a big soccer fan. However, my eyes were drawn to the fact that Lionel
I
Messi,
was not expecting this out of you.
came over to the MLS, Inter Miami, I believe. I'm just going off the top of my head,
Yep.
and I mean, obviously the name itself brought a lot, but then he just started scoring every game out of nowhere. If
Bro,
you
this guy
are,
was scoring like I would check the score. It'd be like Inter Miami wins 4-0. Messi with 3 goals.
And I believe the team was like last place in terms of the season before, or even when they acquired him. And I think they won one of the tournaments for the MLS this season.
They essentially won the equivalent
of the
their equivalent of the in-season tournament.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. And then, more importantly, though, is everywhere I went shopping for the holidays, Adidas stores, or even families out and about. It's these pink Messi shirts everywhere, pink and black, Messi. And like I said, I'm not a big soccer guy, but I think it attracted my attention so much, and I was so interested to see if he could just show the MLS how much below it is from him, and I guess his skill level. But just to go on that too, I know I overheard the schedule release for 2024 MLS season, and it appears that Messi is scheduled to come to Toronto, but it's the last regular season game of the season, and a lot of speculation going around of whether he'd come if they need him, or whether that game's important or whatever. So I know I've heard that a lot of FC fans here in Toronto are a little upset, because I think that would be a huge marketability opportunity if he was to come around the summertime, or earlier in the season, just to see Lionel Messi in the middle of the season that cares about the soccer. Maybe not towards the end of the season. Hopefully, the game's important. Hopefully, he's there, and that's my number 3. Yeah, I think it's important for me to add that in there. That's important, and I think it changed my personal perception on soccer. So good for Messi.
I mean, just expanding on that, like knowing you don't talk about soccer a lot. Even when the World and Euro Cup were on, like I would be like, big game thing. You'd be like, yeah, all right. So that's kind of cool to hear, and you can just kind of see like how big of a deal that whole Messi thing was, because I don't think we'll ever know the full details of that whole deal, but essentially every team in the league had to pitch for him to come there, and he essentially got to pick where he's going. He's getting a percentage of the MLS streaming deal, which is exclusive on Apple TV. So it's absolutely crazy how big of a deal it actually is, him coming over here. And then you look at the other side with, the other big soccer superstar, Ronaldo, making almost $1 billion playing in Saudi Arabia. Right. And how much do we hear about that over here? Not a ton. I mean, maybe that's outside of our circles, but it'll be interesting. And Inter Miami is going to Saudi Arabia to play a game there, so we'll have Messi versus Ronaldo one more time in a game that nobody will probably care about. But
there we go.
We never got that.
Moving along here, Josh. Number two.
Obviously, I'm a big Leafs fan. I had to include this one in here. The Leafs making the second round this year. That was a big one. It was a little disappointing to see how it ended in the second round against a Florida team that we were probably better than, but I don't think that Leafs team was built for a playoff run.
Is not necessarily what you would think that series was going to be.
No, not all. And personally, I wanted to play the Bruins. I wanted a matchup of Leafs Bruins in that second round, and Boston got bumped in that first round, unfortunately.
Right.
Blew that lead, but shoe on the other foot for once, I guess. But
Florida takes it all the way to the Cup final, though.
Yeah, but like that could have been us. And I think, looking back at it, I'm happy they won that. And like, was it a big moment? Yes, because, personally, I don't remember the last time they got out of the first round. Like, I know it's happened in my lifetime. Was I watching it? No.
Was I present?
Yeah. And, who better to score that goal than John Tavares, right? Like, I was living at my old place when it happened, and I jumped into the sink. Like, it was incredible to watch. And then all of a sudden the realization, like, holy shit, we got Florida in the second round, like a huge opportunity here, and you just piss it away. So that goes back to that Toronto sports thing. But for me personally, that was a pretty cool sporting moment this year.
Love it. I'll stay on the hockey scene. This even kind of rolls along with your point, if the Leafs were to ever get there. But Las Vegas, or the Vegas Golden Knights, winning the Stanley Cup in 2023,
Huge for the sport.
Not just for the sport, right? Not even for my personal. I think I would have minded if Florida or Vegas won, but just seeing Vegas win and then seeing the following events and the madness and the attraction brought to the city that is just starting now to make more ground moves in terms of bringing in more sports teams
in a place where people said professional sports wouldn't work. Like I remember I was critical of it. They said Vegas was getting an NHL team. I said, come on, like that's not going to work.
And
man, did they prove us wrong.
Ever since they've been in the league, right? The first season, I don't know what it was. I think obviously it was the structure of how it was the first time in a long time that expansion draft has happened. And it was kind of like all these third, fourth stringers, finally getting a chance to be first and second liners. And
the misfits.
They had a lot of pride on their shoulders. And that first season, like the fact that you can dictate your franchise's foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They've had such a firm foundation in terms of how they play hockey, heavy on the back end, consistent on the front end. Jack Eichel's getting healthy now. And, I remember last year, maybe, or the year before that, they had a turn cycle of goalies. One of the goalies coming from.
Yeah, they went like 5 goalies deep. And like even this year when they won the cup, Aiden Hill, like he's not their starter. It wasn't at the time. It wasn't their starter.
Exactly. So, and, so it's just, I'm not too sure. I'm still love to look into the theatrics behind what makes Vegas who they are. But the Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup for me stands out. It brings hockey down south. And, I think that's what Gary Bettman and the NHL needs is they need it more, not even just south of the border in New York and Minnesota. They need it all the way down there in the desert and in the California area because, that's used to be a cold spot. So I hope it becomes a hotbed and it can only make the NHL more marketable. And in terms of 2023, you can't forget about the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, it kind of was the year of them as well. And just kind of talking on the, making hockey bigger, like you look at what they've been doing with the international games, people make fun of it. All you got to do is look at the Sweden series that just happened with, I think it was Minnesota, Ottawa, Toronto, and Detroit. Look at those games and what like a storybook ending for the Swedish fans there with William Nylander probably, having the best 2-game stretch of his career and then also netting the overtime winner. Like that's perfect. And it was huge over there. I'm sure we all saw the clips of him. He was doing their biggest nighttime television show. I don't remember the name of it. We all saw that video of him signing autographs and the lineup was like 3 blocks long and he had time for everybody there. So, let's get out to these markets. It'd be cool to see a game in, let's say like England. I know they went to Australia for a
You hear Austin Matthews comments?
Oh yeah, he wants to do one in he said New Mexico, right? Or Mexico.
Mexico City.
Mexico City. Yeah. So
I'd like that. That's a great idea.
And you look at what the NFL's doing. I think next year they're doing 7 games in Europe. Like how long until we actually have a European based NFL team? Right. And I know it's easier for them because the Jags owner owns the Fulham FC stadium and they play the games there. They play a couple games at the Tottenham Stadium. So there are connections there and it is easier because of arena rights. But
don't be alarmed if you see it. I know I got my guards down in terms of what the NFL's up to.
Yeah. I know. So
number one, Josh.
Number one. All right. One thing you guys got to know about here.
We'll get to some.
That's all right. I'm still here.
We're good. We'll get to some honorable mentions after, but once we get Josh's face back here, we will let him take.
I went to grab my drink and just unplug the USB, so I won't do that again.
Sports moment from 2023.
What you guys got to know about me is I am a huge wrestling fan, professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, all that stuff, combat sports. What a year that industry had. I can't really pin down one moment. If I had to pin down one moment, it would be November 26th, 2023, Survivor Series. Or was it the 25th? 26th or 25th? CM Punk returning back to WWE, a place he said he would never go back to. I remember watching that event. They pan out. You think it's over, and that music hits. It was phenomenal. I know you said to me a couple times, Edge jumping over to AEW. I told you it was happening. And then I messaged you about it. And you're like, man, you're the only guy who can ruin something for yourself and still be surprised. So like there's just something. They had such a good year. We went to Forbidden Door this year where we had Will Ospreay fight Kenny Omega. That was phenomenal. 2 days ago we went to just a house show at Coca-Cola Coliseum where the Marlies play. They put 11,000 people in that arena, and it's like it's a growing industry. Tonight we got the first episode of Raw the New Year, so I was just excited to see more people getting involved with it. I'll talk on it more, but someone close to me, I've gotten them involved in it as well, and they get pretty excited about it too. So
absolutely. Just to touch on that, I know actually said that funny part. Growing up, right, you always heard a little bit of the scripture aspect of the WWE, but you're never old enough to own the social media platforms to find out the leaks, right? But as you get older, and more information is shared, Josh is like finding out the rumors and the leaks days before things are happening, and I'm sure many fans are too. But for me, it's like if you usually are going to be 99% confirmed on those sources, it's harder to be as excited when it actually happens. So it's to see natural emotion and screams and whatnot come from these events, right? I think that's what the WWE has been missing. And although it feels like all my childhood heroes are coming back and they're like all of a sudden on like their last stand and the entrance music and whatnot, I still think that it's a nice little send off, and hopefully that everyone can appreciate that. I'm not necessarily
and they went through a lot this year, like obviously the whole Vince McMahon thing, which we could probably talk through for like 3 hours. But they're also under the same umbrella as the UFC now. The whole Endeavor deal, it's TKO Sports, all the streaming deals, like they're an international mega house. Both companies, I'll give credit to both companies. AEW sold out Wembley Stadium. I think it was like 83,000 people there, which actually broke the record for biggest arena attendance for a live wrestling show, and it wasn't WWE. So I'm just excited to see where it keeps going.
In general, I think one of my underrated one was seeing Randy Orton come back that same event. CM Punk came back, so
which threw everybody off.
Absolutely, I know that that's one of my old guys right there. I used to hate him, and then I think he became one of my my favorites
for sure. All right, let's hear your number one.
Number one over here on my side. Will I was been muddling around on seeing which one deserves an honorable mention, but I don't think this man will ever get an honorable mention in his lifetime because he is the king. LeBron James surpassing the all-time scoring record. The game stops. The ball is handed over. I believe Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I sure hope I'm getting this right. Hands the ball over.
No, it was Kareem.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hands the ball over to LeBron James. As soon as he hits this little mid-range shot, game stops. Never seen something like that in my life. Speech during the middle of the game, family members, pictures. But just as a culmination of LeBron James's career, obviously, hopefully still many years to go. In terms of the greatest basketball player of all time, that's where my guy is. And, to know that if you really boil down LeBron James's game style, a lot of people think that he's not the type of guy to hit the shots. He's a pass first and clutch moments type of guy, but now he's got the most points in NBA history, and hopefully he can create a little bit more of a gap. But I'll be excited to see where that chase comes years down the road. But to know that I watched the passing of the torch, if you will, the passing of the ball, I remember even friends and coworkers of mine who never turned on a basketball game had to watch that moment. And
I think I watched it.
It's forgive me for getting the name of Kareem wrong, but
it's all good. It's all good
that we keep this thing original and fresh. And obviously LeBron James looks like original and fresh still recently at his 39th birthday a couple days ago. So leaves a few room for things that I still want to touch on. So maybe we do one or two honorable mentions here. Josh, what do you got?
I think that we got to talk about the whole Shohei Ohtani thing, because that was a crazy, what was it, like 2-3 days where people thought it was confirmed he was coming to the Jays. It kind of put into light.
My hope was like a week. I thought he was coming for the Jays.
I know, but like the actual confirmation where he, apparently he was on the plane, but it turns out it was just Robert Herjavec, the Dragon's Den guy. And then, the whole outrage afterwards at these reporters confirming things and, what was actually happening. And then the amount of money he actually got, and if the Jays were ever actually in on him or if they were used as a tool, which, I think maybe there was a little bit of playing off each other. So that was just an incredible, 48, 72 hours where he was almost a Toronto Blue Jay, would have definitely changed the trajectory of that franchise for the next 10 years. And you know what? Good for him. That guy's getting paid $700 million to play baseball in LA. So am I upset about it? Kind of got over it. Would have been nice for him to come here.
It made a
Yes.
lot of sense. A lot
Yeah.
of, and even the American reporters, that's when it started to tip my favor. It was like, obviously in Canada, we're very Sportsnet, TSN, they're favorable. Of course, I think they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt of coming to Toronto. But once some of these American networks and panelists even thought that Toronto was a good idea, I was like, oh, well, I think it is a good idea. Let's get all the countries and continents. Like Shohei could completely take over the world, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a little unfortunate that he's down there, and the Blue Jays missed out on another prospect that I think Shohei obviously helped the Dodgers get in general. So, what's Yamamoto is his last name. I couldn't tell you his first name.
That's the thing, right? You and I were not huge baseball guys. We were gripped to this story. That's how big it was. Yeah.
And I know for as lack of understanding that but Shohei was in the room, right, when they're pitching their ideas and contract to this guy from overseas. So how are you going to say no? And maybe someone that is in the room and be on the same team as you is one of your idols or the best player in the game. So
no, it was definitely something here. What's one of yours here, buddy?
Yeah, let's just go to our fact checker real quick. Wilt Chamberlain died in 1999, so that was very off. It is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously.
It happens. It happens.
But speaking of tall NBA players, the next wave has arrived, and Victor Wembanyama is on the scene. So
that guy's something else.
This man, otherworldly. I was very skeptical. Obviously, you see his
frame,
dominance.
Yeah, his frame as well.
And his work against, his age growing up. Is that going to translate? Is he going to take the bumps and the grinds of the strong guys? Are these NBA vets going to really understand what he's capable of, or are they just going to push him around? And, sure, maybe it took him a little while to gain his ground, but you're seeing now, if you're watching a bit, if the ball is not going through his hands, not only are the rest of the stats on the team for those players going down, but like their winning percentage is going down. Obviously, they're not doing great regardless, but like just let him, and a lot of people feel the same way. Let him make those mistakes, put the ball in his hands. He's done great things. I remember one of my highlights was this guy passed the ball off the 3-point line and then caught an alley-oop before the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And took 2 steps and caught it. Just godly. And I'm sure we haven't even seen the most unique aspect of his athleticism yet. I'm looking for him to like stretch over somebody, 2 people, just drop it in the basket. This guy is otherworldly, and it is translating. And I think that I hope the Spurs can take advantage of this in terms of building a team around him, because the faster the better. Obviously, you're hoping that this man is a freak in terms of his body maintenance, as long as Mr. Wembanyama can. He's working out on the court barefoot, walking around with his hands.
Well, you kind of hope he takes care of himself, because you look at other prospects who had big hype and haven't really lived up, and I'm thinking of Zion.
There we go. Zion Williamson. Yeah, he's had his fair share of ups and downs, but he's back in the lineup. He's back in the mix. And, with Victor Wembanyama, this only brings a prototype for where the NBA is going. And,
for sure.
What
did you think of, you mentioned the Spurs, and this happened this year. What did you think of Greg Popovich grabbing the mic mid-game and telling the crowd to stop booing?
A lot of people's radar, yeah. In terms of big moments, I didn't think people would even notice that, but one of my personal favorites, Kawhi Leonard, in the middle of a free throw, is getting hucked and booed by obviously his former team, where he decided that he would like out way back when. But it's interesting. I mean, obviously, I think one of the people that you expected the least to speak out in the middle of a game is the longest tenured Greg Popovich, and it almost had your jaw dropped. It was like you thought he was.
I thought that whole thing was fucking ridiculous. Sit down, coach your team.
This guy is not a fan of people who pay money to show their passion for their sport and their team. I'd be upset. I know it's cool.
Sorry, that just reminded, like, booing at a sporting event, I have no problem with it. And
No,
something that
absolutely.
annoyed me yesterday was Team Canada played Germany at the World Juniors, and it was 2-2 after the third, after the second going into the third, and apparently the Canadian fans there were booing them as they went off the ice.
The
And
Canadians? Their
yeah,
own Canadians?
yeah, and people were saying like, "Oh, they're teenagers, you got to relax." I'm sorry, you should be winning that
I
game.
remember hearing, yeah, absolutely. You go against those Oakville and Burlington parents where I'm from, they're booing you when you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Yeah,
Going against
yeah,
their
you got
kid.
my dad in the crowd yelling, "Come on, son, skate harder! You're playing
Absolutely.
awful."
Absolutely.
I'm pretty,
I
I'm
got
pretty
one
sure
more. You got
these.
one more?
Yeah, I got one more. I can go one more.
I got one more.
All right, I'll go. I'm just going to
Honorable
talk
mention.
about honorable mention. The NFL as a whole this year has been an absolute content machine, be it from injuries, be it to superstars getting involved in the NFL that we didn't think they would. Taylor Swift specifically. And then we look at players being moved. The biggest one was that provided maybe the biggest story of the year, NFL wise, was Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers and going to the Jets, and he literally lasted 4 snaps and then hurt his Achilles, which essentially ended the Jets season there. And then just the rotation of quarterbacks we've seen this year, man, like
Everywhere, all across the league.
Everywhere, all across the league. And it just makes you look at, are these quarterbacks that need to adjust the way they're playing? And then the MVP race has been phenomenal this year. I personally think it's going to be Lamar Jackson's.
Yeah,
everyone was saying it was going to be Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
He was never in my top 5 because he has so many machines around him. If you're giving it to somebody on that team, on the 49ers, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that man's an absolute beast. So just the NFL this year as a whole, I really paid attention to it this year. And I actually, I'm not a Bills fan anymore. So let's go Cowboys.
Oh no!
Yeah, can't do it. I can't cheer for that Bills team anymore.
Don't come to the NFC East if you're not going to be a Giants fan.
No, I'm not cheering for the Giants.
Speaking of the carousel of quarterbacks, how could you not choose the Italian man Danny DeVito, who came in, shook up the New York Giants, got a few wins, made us excited about our team again, had a bootleg agent on the field with him with a
that guy wasn't real, right? Like that was
a party hat and a nice little whatever he had going on. And that was I can't tell you how authentic that was, but as a Giants fan, obviously we're clinging on to whatever we can. And it's not great to hear that someone's down here in the NFC East and is now a Cowboys fan. But
I love watching those Giants games and just they cut to the coach and he just looks befuddled every single time.
I like the coach. That's the issue. But in terms of our old foe, the Buffalo Bills, they're having a 10-6 season. But I heard that if they don't win, they have a decent chance of missing the playoffs. Still.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. They have to
relies on some wins by Jacksonville.
There's a lot. I think they can lose and still make it. If the Steelers and Jags win, they also have to win. I think if the Steelers or Jags lose, it doesn't matter. But man, they got a Week 18 game against Miami, prime time, 8:15. I will tell you right now, the Miami Dolphins are frauds. They don't think
blown out. What they lose to Baltimore?
They lost to Baltimore last night. Like it was a massive blowout. And
all right.
Yeah, we can talk more about NFL.
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna choose here between one now. I'm sure I'll get into this as the season goes on and we talk more basketball. So I'll leave this one for another time and open up the doors for Sha'Carri Richardson. Take a minute. Remember the name. She was a USA track star. She was a sprinter, and she got caught or whatever smoking the Mary Jane and was pretty much blacklisted from competitions and racing. And recently, she had started running again, winning competitions, world championships, showing everyone who's boss and smokes that dope. So Sha'Carri Richardson, shout out to you. We got a lot of other things that we don't talk about, and I think that you are a star. Show them how it's done. Smoke that green.
Another one where people big comebacks. It was it Brittany Griner? Great, am I saying that right? She
I don't know how much of a comeback. I mean, it was just.
I know she was she had the whole being detained in Russia because she had a vape pen on her, and then she made that
to have her back. I mean,
back in the WNBA. So
that's a whole political conversation. But yeah, we're very fortunate to have her back.
Yeah,
regardless, Moving on.
I'll ask you this question. You get top 3 sports years. Does 2023 rank in the top 3
of my lifetime or all time?
Of your lifetime.
Of my lifetime. I remember 2016 was a great year. The Cavs won. Sun was shining. That felt like one of the best years. I'm trying to think. One of the years the Giants won the Super Bowl was a good year in my eyes. So this year, the NBA, none of my teams won it. Shout out to the Nuggets, though. 2023. I'm not going to say so. I think that there's more to come in my lifetime, and I think I'm drawing a blank on memories. But, just to know that nothing important happened. The Raptors, the Leafs only made one round, and I'm not here fantasizing about 2023 like that. There's a lot of interesting things that happened, and I think that finally, maybe with the first full calendar year post-COVID, that the routine
that's huge too. That's huge as well.
Keep rolling around, and there's more structure and memories to be made. So let's just move right along. I know. Actually, what do you think? I gotta ask you the question.
Yeah,
You've been
I'd say
longer than me now in terms of time on Earth. So
I'd say it was a top 3. Just I'm gonna base it off. I'm gonna base it off 3 things here. My favorite team won something. Not really a trophy, but they won around. The amount of sports I watched this year was incredible. And my favorite thing to watch in wrestling was bigger than it's ever been before. So I would say out of the 365 days that we had in 2023, I probably watched sports 360 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is what keeps your heart healthy and your mind off of other stuff. And 2024, we're going to talk. Is that where we're going with this? A few predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. Kick us off.
Let's switch the order up here. All right. So I'm going to start off bold. All right. Now, before this man came back into this NBA team's lineup, I believe they're around 4 to 5 wins even. And a lot of people were skeptical if he could jump back in and be where he was before his 25-game suspension. Ja Morant will lead the Memphis Grizzlies this season to a playoff spot. And they are still more than a few games behind that spot. But you have a struggling Warriors team looking to find their identity with Chris Paul this season. You have an untested Houston Rockets team with little experience, but more veterans like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, which is why you're seeing them hold that last spot at a 15-15 record. But, not too sure. There's still lots of basketball to be played. And I think Ja Morant is really a cultivizer in terms of bringing his teammates together, that city of Memphis together. And, his first game back, I remember watching it, all plays down to the last buzzer beater. And he won it for them, 30 points or something like that right off the bat. I think that there's a bold prediction to be made. Maybe they scoop back into that 10th spot and get into play-in. And you might not want to see the Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant Memphis Grizzlies. So we'll see. That's where I'm starting off.
That whole thing with Ja Morant was something else, eh? Like, I know you're probably a little more dialed to it, but just with what was going on,
especially a lot of internet videos of this guy's court hearings and how he's demonstrating everything and how it happened. I'm
going to ask you this, yes or no question. I don't want you to expand on it because we could keep talking.
Yeah.
Do you think he learned his lesson? Yes or no?
I know you're going with this.
I'm not going to bring it up. I do.
Yes, the answer is yes. I do think he learned his lesson.
Okay. All right.
But moving on, I think we'll have lots of time to talk about Mr. Morant and his past, present, and future. Josh, 2024, what does it see for you?
I think we see, I'm going to go back to the NFL here. I think we see a flip in the way teams, no, I worded that wrong. I think we see a flip in teams in the NFL. We've had powerhouses right now. We've had the Eagles, you got the Chiefs, you got the 49ers. Those are probably, I'll throw the Ravens in there as well. I think we're going to slowly start to, and I don't know if it'll fully happen in 2024, but I think you'll start to see some other teams kind of make that push to be known as a powerhouse in the NFL. And I'm going to throw this out here. This is the main point of the prediction. If Aaron Rodgers comes back healthy, the New York Jets will go something like 11-5, 12-4, and maybe make a push for a Super Bowl. They do have the tools to do it. I also think we're going to see a team, and I can't quite figure out who it's going to be,
New England is 4-12. We got the Chargers, who are 5-11. Surprisingly, with Justin Herbert.
So that's where I was going with that. The final
Even
part of my
the
prediction
4
here.
and 12 Arizona Cardinals.
The Chargers are going to be a force to reckon with next year with their new coach, Bill Belichick.
Ooh, a 2-for-1 special right there.
Yeah.
That leaves New England with a lot of history to cover up. And,
also, shout out. We got to shout out Canadian Nathan Rourke, who is now on the Patriots, and he may get some snaps next week. So,
former BC Lion standout player in the CFL.
Also, Garth Webb Charger, the high school I went to.
Well, there we go. I'll move along. We'll do 3 of these 2024 things. Let's stay on the coaching thing. Whether it is this season or the off season, there will be no more Sheldon Keefe come 2024, 2025. I do not believe that he is the man for this envision of the Leafs now. Obviously,
this GM didn't hire him too.
This is, who knows? This is a trial year. This everything that screams this year screams repetitiveness. We've seen this before. It's even a little bit worse sometimes with these extra point games and leads that are being lost.
Dude, it's brutal.
And I'm not always too sure as to what that comes down to, but there is one person who's always there, always talking, and has to be the messenger, and that's the head coach. And I'm not sure what type of coach it is that the Leafs need, but personally, without splitting up the top end players, I'd like to see Keefe replaced personally, unless this is a year where we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, my prediction is we can't have Keefe around for the next remaining year.
Yeah, like I could go off on the Leafs for hours, man. I mean, like we even saw it today. Like if I had told you that on January 1st, 2024, the two goalies would be Dennis Hildeby and Martin Jones.
Shout out to Martin Jones. I think he's the only reason.
Yeah, but like he's not a number one goalie. Like, love the guy, but come on. And is it Keefe's fault entirely? No, it's not his fault that, Ilya Samsonov isn't focused right now. Did he sprain Joseph Wall's ankle? No, but there are ways to get your team clicking, and he's just not doing it. They never seem to start on time. The problem is, you look at the Leafs record, you look at Sheldon Keefe's record. He most recently coached I think it was his 300th game. He had the highest win percentage of any coach all time who's coached 300 or more games. So
with the Leafs
overall in the NHL. Yeah. I forget the stat, but he was number one.
It's tough. And I know there's probably lots of reasons why organizations haven't let go of this man, but I also don't mind the fact that they're not just moving on and moving on and moving on every time. But I'm not necessarily. I'm here to make a prediction, and I think in the world of players' first personalities, Keefe would be that first person to move. You got one more for me. Is it? Yeah, it's you. You're up.
Yeah. I got two more actually.
Yeah, two more. I got one after you.
Okay. We will see the emergence in Toronto and the actual what he can be at his full prowess of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This guy hasn't really broken out yet. They almost just signed essentially what would be his replacement in Shohei Ohtani. Vladdy's going to have a big year. That's just my little prediction there for that. Bo Bichette probably steps up a little bit too. You can never count out a team when you have two guys who could potentially hit you 40 or more home runs. So I hope that, and just to tack on to that, the Jays will still have a top 3 pitching in the MLB this year.
Baseball. Interesting. Now I'm on the fence here, but this isn't the biggest prediction.
You seem unsure of this prediction.
I'm going to say, for the betterment of, they're not going to move on from him. I'm not too sure. I personally think he will be needed somewhere else, and this person will not end his career where he thought he would. Draymond Green will not end his career with the Golden State Warriors. Now, whether or not that move happens in 2024, as of late, we don't even know this guy's situation in terms of suspensions coming from his 360 haymaker that he tried to let people know was
Yeah.
an accident. Now, don't get me wrong. I do stand by some of the hardworking ways in which Draymond understands the game, plays the game, does all the dirty stuff, or the hardworking stuff that guys like Klay Thompson may not do, Steph Curry can't do, or something like that. Now, I do believe he's one of the power generators of this team. However, where they are here, I think you're seeing, that they lack without him now. Whether or not they are, and they moved on recently from this is their first year underneath different management. Their owner, I forget his name. He had a huge affinity for Draymond Green. So I'm not too sure where the organization stands on his antics now, but that doesn't mean that he's not a viable player somewhere else. And I think growing up, even today, a few weeks ago, I thought Draymond Green would end his life, or his career rather, end his career as a Golden State Warrior. I'm starting to think that if it doesn't happen in 2024, maybe Draymond Green ends his career somewhere else.
I got two here. One of them's kind of ridiculous. One of them's realistic. Which one do you want to hear?
We got to start with the realistic one first to preset the one that you think isn't realistic.
Okay, so I think in 2024 we probably get we finish this hockey season, we get a little bit into the next one, and we finally realize that Alexander Ovechkin will not catch Wayne Gretzky for the goal record. He's only got five or six goals this year. He's slowing down. Father Time is undefeated. I don't think he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I'll hop on right with you there.
At his current pace.
I've seen some clips. Of this season, and he doesn't look mobile enough to get to his spots. Whether or not that means he can't score in new spots is yet to be seen, but it is hefty task. What is he, like 60 or 80 away?
Yeah, something. I think he's close, like 80 away. It's closer to 80 than 60.
It's a gap, and I think people are underestimating the competition in the NHL. And
they're only getting younger and faster, and he's getting older and slower. Like, he's still Alex Ovechkin.
That's a good take.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. Let me hear the outrageous one.
Tiger Woods will win a major in 2024.
You know what? I didn't want to go golf, and I wasn't too sure about what events he was going to touch and play this coming season. But that was on my radar for sure. I know that's a bold take.
I'm going to say it just in case he does do it, so I can post that clip.
I think that in 2019, at the start of 2019, if you were to say that take, it would still be outrageous. But the guy went on to win the Masters. Later.
Yeah.
So, he has his own event. I'm not sure if that already came.
Already happened, yeah. Didn't do so well.
He'll still have that opportunity in the latter part of 2024 anyway. But, I think it's never a bad prediction once you see him smiling with his son out there. That always brings a little bit of drive, joy, and fire back to that man. And if one of my favorite athletes of all time, Tiger Woods, I would love to see something positive help push his career over the edge right there. Obviously, one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Oh, for
Tiger.
Sure.
Good,
for sure.
Not horrible. I think that our predictions are predictions for a reason. So.
Yeah. It's all in good fun. But if he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, I don't think anybody would be shocked. All right, you want to finish with one last quick thing here?
Yeah, what do you got for me?
All right, I'm going to name a sport. You got to tell me who wins the champion that year or this upcoming season.
All right. After I answer it, I got to hear yours, so it'll be fast.
All right, ready? NBA.
Okay, right off the top of my head, 5 seconds or less. Jeez, I hate to say it, but Boston Celtics.
Boston Celtics is where I was going to go as well.
Yeah,
let's go.
I don't even want that to happen.
Super Bowl. I'm going Baltimore Ravens. I think it's theirs.
You know what? I can't.
I think it's theirs to lose.
It's too easy right there to give that one to them. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Chiefs.
Can never count out Patrick Mahomes. They've had a hard season. Yeah, but if you have Patrick Mahomes on your team, although he's gonna have to go on the road for the first time for the playoffs. He's never played in a away playoff game.
I don't necessarily. I I mean, I just had the standings up and I still couldn't pull together a 100% answer. But I think if it's, Lamar and OBJ, I'll still be happy. But let's just throw in the Kansas City Chiefs to see if Taylor Swift's going to end up at the Super Bowl.
All right. MLB, who wins that?
Bold, bold, bold. You don't expect it coming. Baltimore Orioles.
All right. I'll go Los Angeles Dodgers.
We'll see. Who knows if all that powerhouse is going to come and, you're playing with a 50-50 Shohei Ohtani. He ain't going to be pitching, but I'm sure that's still
That is true. That is true. And last but not least, Stanley Cup. It's a tough one this year.
You know what? Just because it probably wouldn't happen again. They're having such a good season, and they have guys who've done it. LA Kings.
Oh, I like that. I'm going looking at the way teams are playing recently, looking at the standings, looking at experience and hunger to get back to where they once have been. Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, I was worried. You're really showing me a Boston answer in the way you were setting that one up, but
no, I don't think they're good enough.
We survive another day without praising the Bruins.
No,
so
I don't think they're good enough.
Josh, where are we going to be? Where can you find us when this episode comes out?
Everywhere, buddy. Check the link down below.
Well,
we're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us
Orion
on.
Sportscast. We are the sports belt of information.
I like that.
And we will try our best not to just bullshit our way through, but hopefully have some more people who have a little bit more insight onto some personal aspects of not their only sporting life, but more people who have more access and insider information on many sports. And you are out there, you're listening, and you got a little insider information. We're not here just to, talk verbatim. We'd always love to hear you guys and what you're thinking, what you'd like to listen to, and we can always try to touch on whatever. Sometimes there's, drone racing. The next drone racer, who knows what the next big deal is? You got.
Yeah, we're gonna try and talk about things people don't really talk about, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I think that was just the right amount of time today. What do you think?
It was good. It was good. All right, let me stop the recording here. Thanks everybody. If you made it this far,
Happy New Year.
If you didn't, you won't hear this. Goodbye.